malka ke mofaseda.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking in Stations, Vegas. I am Matarol, and I'm here with Carneros.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here at Vegas 2018.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to do is thank Raiden and Streamfleet for putting this together and making this possible. You can see they built the set, they built the lighting, they got sound. And we got McLeod on the back end streaming it out, all for CCP, and I believe INN as well. So thanks for joining us. We know it's early for at least people here at Vegas. Maybe not so early for you in Europe, but we're sorry you couldn't be here. We're bringing as much as we can to you from this place. So Carneros, you having a good time?
I'm having a fantastic time. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little harsh after the bars last night.
Yeah, so last night was the big party that they have on Saturday night. If I could go over the schedule real quick, they have Friday is registration, keynote kind of stuff. The second day is a lot of presentations, and then a big party at the end of the night. And then today is the last day, which is basically some more presentations from
a few roundtables.
Right, roundtables all in between that. And in between all that and around it is a lot of socializing players. You see them sitting around at this major bar called 3535. So come down the escalators, it opens up to the plaza or whatever. And there's just a lot of people talking. It's really loud. And then there's other bars that people go to that are in the vicinity. And then if you go beyond those bars, there's a big promenade. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but a big street that there's no cars on it. It's just people traffic and places to eat and stuff like that. And there's a ton of people there. So Vegas is just full of socializing. It's probably a lot more of a party than even FanFest is.
Yeah.
Right? Were we talking about that?
Yeah.
Like, describe the difference.
Well, I think I've been now to 5 FanFests and 5 Vegas. This is more about the players socializing with each other, hanging out, spending time. Just, that chance you always wanted to have to talk to the Matani about something. But it's great.
It's kind of unavailable.
Diplomacy. If you know which bar to go to on a given night, you can
see him slumped
totally
over.
go up and say hi. He's more approachable than you think.
He's too approachable. But anyway,
and the CCP folks are all mixed in with us. They might be wearing their black shirt. They might not be, but they're completely approachable. Go talk to them.
Yeah, I was talking to Hilmar, and I realized I don't have anything to say. Like I need material. Because he's sitting there, and I'm like, you exhausted my 2 questions. So I got to go reload. But yeah, and I was talking to Orca and Manbear, and they really gave me the time of day. It's like they're sitting there waiting for you to talk to them, and you literally stop having questions because they've answered all your questions. And then they ask you about yourself, and it's very interesting. So
I've seen some
incredible access to CCP is what I mean.
Yeah, I've heard some great conversations in the hallway. I've seen people talking to the game devs about things like how best to portray the danger level on the other side of a Stargate as you come up to it. And they talked about what they have showed at the show this week, and then what could they do next? How could they improve it? I've seen them bouncing ideas about what if we started an additional server and just had a special rule set for only 6 months. What could you do? Just wild brainstorming. These are not feature set ideas, not promises. Just conversation about wild ideas and what could you do? It's great.
Yeah, so if you've been thinking, and we'll wrap this up, this segment, if you've been thinking of coming to Vegas or any kind of major meetup, we strongly recommend it. Tremendous access. If you complain about CSM access or being a bottleneck to CCP, if you come to these things, you get one-on-ones with devs. You can tell them what's on your mind.
Yeah.
And you get to meet them. They're great people. They're actually great people.
Yeah.
And it's a great big party with your friends and your court mates and stuff like that. So if you're thinking about it, you should do it. So check this out. We can see your chat if you guys have questions. Raiden hooked us up with a big old board. And so, ask questions, give us some feedback, and we'll respond to you as best we can. We're also going to we have some friends here we're going to bring on in just a minute. to tell, ask them some questions about how they're doing, if they're having a good time and stuff like that. So 2 things to remember: communicate with us on chat here, and second thing is make sure you make it to the next eVegas, or now there's going to be a tour, right? So it's going to be maybe near you.
Yeah. If you feel like it might be strange to meet in-game enemies here, it's not. It's crazy. We all feel like we're on one team when we get here. It's the human psychology around these events is really interesting, and it's great fun.
I thought you were going to say human sacrifice for some reason.
No, I haven't seen any human sacrifices yet.
We haven't even seen like drinks spilled in people's faces.
No.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all good.
One last thing. The cool thing about this is when you're at the bar, you realize, who the people are. So the other night I was watching ELO Night talk to Winter Coalition's leaders, Noros and Wind Spirits, and then over came Headliner, and Sword Dragon's walking in the background, and it's really funny because in Eve these guys are killing each other, but here they're all talking and having a good time and maybe plotting, which I think is pretty cool.
It's great fun to pick out the famous people and meet them, ask them to sign something. But it's been great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Well, let's bring over a famous person. We'll start with Brisk over here, who's just looking.
We surprised him.
He just looks like $100.
He just rolled his eyes at us. Come on over, sit in the middle.
Yeah. Famous is a relative term. So, although it was fun yesterday, I felt more like a politician than I have in a couple of years. Everybody wanted selfies and to come up and say hi and talk to me.
Let's just have a conversation, not necessarily an interview. Maybe we'll bring somebody else in too. But what are you saying about, what's the takeaway from eVegas so far?
Well, I think, at least in terms of game changes, what I'm happy to see and what I think that they have been able to do and demonstrate to us is that CCP's new philosophy is small iterations, faster. Fix things in little bits at a time, and not doing these massive 6-month-long, 10-month-long major projects that may or may not ever get finished. So I was very pleased to see a lot of the changes. I know that the community is unhappy with some stuff. I've thought about a lot of things over the last couple of days, talked to a lot of people over the last couple of days. I think it's not probably as bad as everyone wants to make it out to be, but then again, that's typically how things go.
It's initial reactions too; they change over time.
Well, right, and I mean, even as a CSM member, we have seen some of the stuff that was on that put in some of the keynote and some of the ship balance changes and things like that, but not all of it. Some of the stuff was new to us too, and we're sitting there thinking, okay, how is that going to work? Is that going to be a problem?
So you got surprised too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think everybody here, regardless of who you are, even maybe some of the CCP guys might have got surprised. So I think at the end of the day, when these changes go out and the community sees them, the first reaction is almost always a knee-jerk, oh my God, this is awful. Unless it's something really cool that's brand new that has no impact on any other part of the game, like Abyssal Dead Space, like that. And even then, with Abyssal Dead Space, there were people that were saying, "Oh, this is awful."
Remember injectors?
Right. This is skill injectors was awful. Jump fatigue was literally like everybody went completely batshit. So I think at least this time, Reddit is muted. Here it seems okay. At least people are talking about it. Reddit is going crazy. I shouldn't say not muted. They're going pretty crazy, but that's Reddit. The forums are kind of quiet. So I think everybody's still trying to process what's going on, but I'm kind of happy with it.
So Bakerman is asking here on chat, why are people mad? Do you know what their reasons are?
I think, at least in terms of the new upwell structures, I think there are concerns that, at least with the Sino-Jammers, that the way that they have constructed it and basically changing the mechanics so that you're using an upwell structure mechanic where you've got multiple different timers that you've got to kill, having a damage cap, being able to online, at least have 3 of them in system, even though only one of them can be online. It's instant off, although it takes 5 minutes to spin up. I think people are trying to wrap their heads, how is that going to work? How are we going to kill these things? How are we going to defend our citadels and our sovereignty when we've got these things in system? And people are still trying to figure that out. And that's to be expected, but it's been a day. And I'm confident that as folks think about it a little bit more and they try to put their FC hats on and try to figure out the stuff that I think people will calm down. And then I also think the jump gate changes. I think everybody's really nervous about the fact that now it looks like if you have infrastructure, you're going to be able to get around jump fatigue for supers and Titan fleets. I was talking to the guys this morning. I think Yeah, that's a concern. I think smaller alliances are probably going to think it's not fair, but at the same time, these are gates. And I think CCP is trying to treat them like real gates. And you can gate a super right now. Carneris was telling us that they gated their super fleet to UALX. I know we've gated ours around sometimes in Delve and Queries where it's safe, relatively safe. But at the same time, all the stuff you can do on a gate, you can do with these player stargates, plus you can blow them up. And I think there's a lot of different things, if we think about it, that maybe these changes are not going to be as bad as everybody at first blush thinks is going to happen. But who knows? We'll see as the community hashes this out.
Yeah, give it a few weeks. All right, we're going to bring on another guest, friend of the show, Alexi. Sorry. Alexi's going to hang out with us. Stay here, Britt.
It's my Rule 36 counterpart, Alexis.
Alexis, yeah. And you know him from Declarations of War, the podcast. And from, Twitch, all kinds of stuff, right? Tell us about what you do.
So I'm a Twitch broadcaster, podcaster. I've been FCing and Eve for over 10 years now.
Former CSM.
Former CSM.
He's done it all.
2-time.
There you go.
Back when that was a big deal and people got such a terrible experience that you would quit
You
the
actually
game
came
after.
back.
Do you have 2 flags on your wall at home? Like one pennant for each season?
Now I have the scars in my brain now. You can clearly see where one ends and the other begins.
Hey, you're beyond NDA. We should talk. I want to hear about some stuff.
No, that's it. I had a conversation with someone about that last month, actually, because they asked me, "Oh, Alex, it's been years.
Let's talk.
Tell me, like,
Tell me all the stuff that happened."
And I had to be like, I thought about it, and I was like, because I hadn't really thought about it before.
Well,
there was this. Oh no, they put out a blog about that.
Well, TIS
this is on the forum.
We're always going to do a non-NDA show. All the people who graduated NDA can tell us like what it was like back then. So we should still do that. We're going to get Celine. We're going to get Mixie. Yeah. We're going to get you and others. All right.
Sure.
Yeah. So Alex. I'm going to call you Alex.
Alex.
This is my tradition of ruining names and misspelling stuff and all that. It's all part of the charm.
Only 5 letters.
All right. We did a cool question in chat, and I had a lot of questions about this myself, and people were surprised that I wasn't concerned. So this should be interesting. Jump gates with no fatigue. Apparently, the community is very divided on this.
And I can understand that. I think that the issue really is how we think about it. I think everybody's trying to look at this as under the current mechanic with jump bridges, and I think we need to kind of change the perspective and make people think about it. These are gates. The whole idea was, a couple of years ago when Seagull had her roadmap out, was everything would be player owned, or at least there would be stuff that would be player owned and player impactable, and gates was one of those things. So we can't, if we stop thinking of these things as jump bridges and we think of these things as just stargates, then the fact that there's no fatigue and caps and supers can use them, well, that's the current gate mechanic as it is. So I recognize why folks are concerned for the idea of hearing about, goons are going to be able to move their super fleet in 15 minutes all the way up from Delve to Fountain. We can do that already. It's not like yes, there's
free.
Fatigue, and we do it for free. There's no fuel costs on there's fuel costs on these gates. There's no fuel cost except to the individual player. The fatigue at the most, it's 5 hours. So at the end of the day, I don't know if this is going to be as big and huge a negative impact as some folks are making it out to be.
5
but I think
hours,
it's fair to think about.
But if
Isn't
it
it
is
30 minutes?
Well, it's 30 minutes in terms of the red time, or 5 hours worth of fatigue.
I mean, the red timer is the one that counts.
Right,
It's
exactly.
capped so low right now that you can't do it in maybe 15 minutes, technically speaking, but you could do it in like a play session.
Right,
basically.
and
So
the other good thing about these gates is you can blow them up, so that's going to be a content generator, and you can move them and point them at different areas. So it's not like once these things are set that they're always going to be there, and that this is going to be a permanent thing. I think it's going to create content. So potentially this might not be as bad as folks are making it out, but I'm still open to hearing.
And
more
CCP is going to be watching to see how we use them, and if we abuse them, particularly if the Imperium abuses them, I think they'll notice it. They're watching stats. They'll make some adjustments.
I think inside the hall when they announced that, there was a lot of cheering, right? Do you think that's
it was a lot of noise.
Yes.
Was
I
it
couldn't
noise?
tell
I
whether
don't
it was
know.
cheering or it was like ooh,
Or a mixture of the, yes.
Well, yeah.
So
Or just shock.
But one thing I heard at the were the roundtable after.
Yeah.
One of the first things out of people's mouths is like, well, we'll just have to send fleets to reinforce their bridges, and they'll send fleets to reinforce our bridges. And in my mind, I'm like, well, good.
What's wrong with that?
Sounds like a lot of content.
That's what I'm talking about. That's great.
Let's get that going. I'm being told that I will be executed by my corp if I do not plug them. Capitalist Army, we are heavily recruiting.
Tell us about Capitalist Army, because they have an interesting story.
So we're down in Great Wildlands, NPC nullsec space, and major props to CCP for getting a feature that had some unintended consequences. Great Wildlands, region nobody wanted to live in for the longest time. If you're not familiar with it, it's got 3 NPC stations, and they're like 3 jumps away from the low-sec gate, and that's it. The rest of it is a barren wasteland, and back in the day, there weren't even any good moons to be had in there.
It is Minotaur
there.
space.
The true sec was awful, so it wasn't like Venal. You couldn't farm it for faction drops. There's no high value moons. It wasn't strategically important. Like, I guess you could move a cap through it, but that was about it. Not too useful. Now, citadels. You're having people living in each of the different constellation pockets. Small gang alliances like Unthinkables. We've got Tempest Calcif just moved in. Really excited about them.
That's great.
About to butcher the name, but Nullsechnaya Schlupen lived there for a while, and they split up.
That's different than low-sec. Or,
totally different.
Totally different.
We
one's
fight
like
the
the
LSH
PL
guys all the time.
One's the PL, or the Russian version of PL, and then the other one is...
The American version of the Russian version of PL. Something may have gotten lost in translation.
Yeah.
But no, they're good dudes. And they're, too many to list. A bunch of nice small to medium-sized alliances really slugging it out.
So you're gentrifying Minotaur space?
Yeah.
There goes a neighborhood.
There you
It
go.
used to be cool and artistic, but now it's just condos.
But it's great, and we sort of run the trade hub down there and provide everyone with the materials they need to do small gang warfare and keep the content flowing.
So you guys are recruiting, if that sounds interesting to you, huh?
You want to PvP and seed markets? Let's go.
Yeah. Not a bad place to start. You have a lot of PvP experience from Noir days and all that, right?
Yep, and MC should be headed our way pretty soon.
Wait a minute. They told me no, that wasn't true. Is it?
Oh, is that not true? I would have thought it was true.
Maybe you're getting it from me and I made it up. So
Rumors.
Welcome to Vegas.
Yeah.
I got a pretty strong reaction from Celine about that one.
But it was great
Speculation.
when Tempest came. They're literally living there now. So that was a rumor that was going around that turned out to be true. And it's great. They moved into 2 systems, maybe 3. They'll have to correct me at some point. But they're
Well, you know better.
Running
than-
around
It's nice to
20-man
have them
battle
down there,
fleets.
but I will say I'm going to miss all of our faction warfare low-sec guys moving into null. It's end of Indira.
Well, I hear they're still rolling around Losec anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think Amar faction warfare lost something big over the weekend.
I didn't see that.
That's what's funny. A lot of people attack while people are here. There's a lot of stuff going on, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting for Sort to come and yell at me because Initiative just dunked about 6 of his work balls up north. So I'm going to be in trouble this morning at the CSM roundtable.
When is that?
Oh, actually,
11 o'clock.
That's not broadcast though.
I think it will be recorded and put on YouTube later, but it's not going to be live.
Okay. See how you withstand heat.
We'll see. Hey, I'm used to it.
Well, you got the right suit on.
I know, right? I'm ready to
$1 million.
go. I'm looking rather chipper for being out till 2 late.
Yeah. All right. We're going to bring on Noisy Gamer in just a second. If you guys know him from his Noisy Gamer blog, which is actually kind of a rare thing. We had a really cool talk. I think it was streamed actually from Willem Actors. Again, butchering names on blogging and why you should do it. And he pointed out, there might have been something like 50 blogs before. It's down to 4 people. And one of those is going to join us now. This is Noisy Gamer.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Briz.
Come on over. Come sit over here.
Okay. Actually, I wasn't one of those blogs. That was in Wilhelm's presentation.
Yeah.
It was the blog pack from 2011, and I wasn't in the blog pack at that time.
That's what I thought. And but did he show you as one of the 4 that were still around?
No. Because
I see.
Yeah, because what I did was he said, "Okay, here's the 41 that were in the blog pack. Now there's only 4 or 5 left."
Okay.
And it's understandable for you to mispronounce his name because on the schedule, CCP misspelled his name. So you pronounced it exactly the way it was spelled on the schedule.
See, if you misspell things and I read them, I actually say them correctly. That's the key. So, all right, that's something to work with. All right.
We got a cool question when you guys are ready.
Yeah, right after this, let's first talk about Noisy Gamer. But tell us about what it is you do and why you do it.
Okay, well, I've been blogging for about 9.5 years, and I've been playing EVE for a little over 9 years. I've somehow got involved in first looking at botting and then RMT, because as I got into the botting, it seemed that CCP was more worried about the RMT. And so I've been following that for about 7 years now. It's RMT is involved in everything, and it's now to make it, to say why it's really big now. Yeah. It's not just EVE. Basically, if you've been following the lockbox issue
with other games,
and so like Belgium and Norway, I think it is, and a few other places are considering it gambling. Part of the reason it's considered gambling, even if it's against the rule, even if extracting money is against the rules of the game, all these regulatory bodies are considering, well, you can RMT it, therefore it's illegal, it's gambling, you can't do it unless you pay us a lot of money.
Huh. So why are they so concerned about this sort of thing? What are the consequences of allowing it?
Think of the children.
Well, that's one.
Well, that is one.
You're channeling, you're channeling Goon Swarm's "Think of the Children." Was it? Yeah, which was a meme on "Think of the Children." But it's a real concern. Kids play these video games. Kids are introduced to the chance of winning something, and it becomes addictive, and that can be a serious thing.
Yeah,
memed or not.
Yeah, there was a case, and I think CCP Plugro talked about it in the. I think it was in the after chat on the TIS Discord, because the security guys came on the TIS one time, and then afterwards there was a guy in EVE who spent $30,000 buying Plex, and just to play. It was either I Want ISK or Cyberblink.
Yeah,
and he spent so it was Cyberblink. So it was he spent $30,000, and he actually. Emailed and said, "Hey, please ban me from this game. I can't stop."
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of reason why gambling is kind of frowned upon by a lot of people, because you get these people with the addictive personalities, and they get addicted to it, and they just keep going, and they can't stop themselves. It's not a big.
And he was an adult.
Yeah. This wasn't a kid charging on his parents' credit card. This was an adult.
But isn't there and this gets really cool. If you read Noisy Gamer, he gets into some deep stuff. But isn't there a connection with virtual currencies?
Yeah.
And what's the problem there?
Okay, so basically, ISK and WoW Gold and Final Fantasy Guild were Bitcoin before Bitcoin was cool. And so what happened is you would have criminal gangs that would come in and do credit card fraud. And Albion Online, when it launched, got creamed by credit card fraud. But you have all of this stuff, and I remember one time watching the Murky Dragon.
So a streamer, right?
Yeah, he's a streamer now. Back in the day, he was an RMTer, and he was doing it in Ultima Online. And he one time was going, "Hey, I'm getting undercut. What's going on?" He found out that the Russian mafia was doing credit card fraud. They were stealing credit card numbers and having it go through. And he calculated that I think it was Microsoft at the time that owned it, or no, it was EA. And then EA got took for $600,000 worth of credit card fraud, and they never picked up on it for months.
That was before we started putting in defenses in place for things like this. That was early days, yeah.
And that was also before Murky Dragon went straight.
Reformed?
He reformed. Basically, Murky said, "Hey, I can make more money by going legit than I can doing this thing." And at one point, in 1 year, he made $250,000 doing the RMT. But he goes, "No, I can make more money going straight."
Wow.
So, yeah.
Crime doesn't pay as much. That's crazy.
CCP has some defenses in place now to check transactions to see if they might be credit card fraud, and it's much harder to do.
And honestly, one of the best defenses they ever came up with was Plex. The ability for people to buy, sell, and trade game time more easily. It dropped the bottom out of the RMT market. And I'm sure it still goes on, but it's a lot more difficult for them to be profitable.
I mean, we're still talking probably millions of dollars that are going through the RMT Academy and Eve. It's not even close to. I mean, I think EverQuest actually has a bigger RMT market.
Now, RMT isn't necessarily illegal or bad. It's just illicit RMT, right? Is there a difference?
Okay, so there actually is a difference. There actually is a difference. I mean, like in South Korea, RMT is against the law. And so our new Korean overlords, Pearl Abyss,
they're not overlords. They're just investors.
They're overlords.
No,
you are ruining the meme. You are ruining the meme.
I'm ruining the meme. Sorry.
Yeah. All hail.
All right.
All hail.
Finish your thought.
But so like in South Korea, it actually is against the law. But it's in most places it's not against the law unless you're like not reporting it on your taxes. And so you have that. So there's basically two types. There's the illicit, which is not sponsored, not sanctioned by the game company, and then there's the illicit, which is not sanctioned, and in the non-sanctioned type, that's where you see the credit card fraud, the account hacking, all these bad things that really impact other players negatively. And if you get hacked and you've been playing for 5 years, you just may say, screw this, I'm just leaving.
Yeah. Well, hold on there, Noisy. We have a question.
Yeah, we do have a question from Luke Waywalker, who needs a little more chill, but it's a good question, so we'll ask it anyway. It says, and I'll expand a little bit. He says, hey, what about Sino beacons in LoSec? And I will expand that to, what about all of these new flex structures? Should we limit them to conquerable space? In what circumstances would it be game beneficial to move them elsewhere? Whether that's non-conquerable null or low as well.
I'd hate it in low. I don't think...
You're a low-sec, you're kind of interesting in the game as well. So not only do you blog, but in the game, you play low-sec in a different way than most people.
I'm kind of a care bear in low-sec. I can't stand mining in high-sec. So if I mine, I'm going to do it in low-sec.
Why do you do that?
It's more interesting. I mean, you have to... I mean, if...
You like being chased?
Well, yeah. It's like I had... Like one time I had some guy in a rupture decide that he was going to chase me. So he landed in the belt, and of course I'm mining while aligned, which code discourages people from because they make you on a circle in high sec, and then you get to low sec, you need to mine while aligned. So
interesting.
Yeah. So I'm mining while aligned. So I zip out. This guy starts to chase me. So he chases me to my midpoint to another belt. It's like, what the hell? Then I wind up aligning to a station. I said, screw this, I'm going to dock up. Thank you, CCP Fozzie, for the Higgs anchor rig, because that really increases your agility.
So you got out.
So I got out, I landed, and he lands before I can dock, and this guy decided he's going to shoot me. It's like, dude, you're going to take the station guns. And he started taking the station guns, and so he zipped off. But that's one of my crazier stories.
No, those are great moments. There's exhilarating, right, and interesting, and they're not typical. It's not the same thing that we report on every day, and it's great to see that there's a lot of vitality to little incidents and stuff all over, and how interesting they can be.
I had a story just like Noisy's about 2 months ago. I was rolling around LoSec with a move op, just going to escort someone, but I saw a miner in a belt, except he didn't warp off, and I killed him.
You're the one,
Lexi.
All right, Johnny. Come on. Thanks, Noisy Gamer. Stay here for a second. Always good to talk to you. We didn't answer that question, but we'll reconsider it later on in the show. Are you having a good time?
Having a good time. The theme of this convention should be E-Vegas Defender.
Why is that?
Because you have the war declaration. changes are going to favor the defender. You have the jump gate and all everything else in nullsec. It's going to favor the defender. And then you have the precursor ships and the 4 new precursor ships.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the defender, but you're going to give smaller groups more power. So therefore, it's like the smaller versus the bigger, so you can take on larger numbers.
Because those are meant for smaller gangs.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah.
At least that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
So
Precursor ships are the ones from Abyssal Space.
yeah, those are the Triglavian ships.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's basically the whole theme of and I don't think I haven't seen anybody say this, but to me, the whole theme of this E Vegas is helping out the defender.
So,
You
thanks.
say that, but I bet you in like a year's time we're going to see Goonswarm and 1,000 Lashaks, and the
Yeah,
game
right.
will cry.
Well, thank you very much, Noisy. It's
Okay.
good to see you. Noisy is part of the TIS team. You can always see him on TIS Discord, and of course, read his vlog, Noisy Gamer. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, up next we have a visitor from Wormhole Space. Let's see if we can pull him out of a hole. There he is, Johnny Splunk.
Sarah, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's Wormhole Space, isn't it?
Maybe.
Or
Depends on who you talk to.
Is it not considered that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny.
it's a different place for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny, great friend. We usually see him around with Minxie, but she didn't show up this year. We're very sad.
Yeah, we miss you, Mixie.
Yeah.
Miss you,
totally.
Minxie.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's such a good time to be here. I love it. This is my 4th year.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see old friends, meet new friends, and it's really fun to see the new kind of visitors to eVegas or a meetup in general.
Yeah.
And like their excitement and kind of making those connections.
A lot of first timers this year when they went through the opening. I was really surprised. It seemed like almost half the room, which is crazy.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's actually the case, but it seemed like there were a lot of hands, way more than last year.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the largest eVegas so far as an attendance, right?
Yeah. Well, there's more that show up but don't actually attend the conference. They kind of hang around. So there's even more than the 1,100 they said were here.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's mainly the social aspect to come here than the talks necessarily, even though those are great. And I really love going to all of the player talks too. That's really a great time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And Wilhelm thanks you, and everybody else.
Yeah, I got to see
over there is going to talk.
3 of them yesterday, so I really enjoyed those. Yeah, Matterall did one yesterday as far as the chronology of wars and just politics and that sort of thing. And this is their 3rd time.
That was the 3rd speech I've given, or talk presentation. The first one was kind of cool. It was about the Illuminati of EVE Online.
Yeah.
Like, who really runs this place?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the FCs. It's not the CEOs. It's not even the logistic guys. It's the IT guys. Those are the guys that really run the thing.
Right.
Anyway, that was that first speech. And then last year I did the Continuum of War. That was the last 5 years of war. And then this year, because I kind of ran through the last part of it, I did the last 3 years of war, focusing on the last year of war. And I'm exhausted because so much has happened in EVE Online in the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a blur but when we get to do something like with Matterall, he kind of lines up the timeline, so it's really nice to kind of remember it in that way.
Summer, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all Swiss cheese when it happens, right?
It is, and depending on how you participate as well. So,
and from your angle, that's kind of interesting, right? Because you must see some things that we don't even think about.
I suppose we do.
You see fleets going through your wormhole space, the Thera?
Yeah, it happens often. Not necessarily for like big strategic fights, but maybe for ones that are sub-cap, because we can't bring capitals through there.
That's right.
Yeah. So
wolf packs and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, Carneros, you were saying earlier, I think we talked about this, the difference, and we might have touched on it already, but the difference between FanFest in Iceland versus eVegas.
Yeah. Part of it is the player's mindset in attending. If you're going to spend that much money and go that far to go all the way to Iceland, you're excited to hear what CCP has to say and meet CCP devs, and it's the pressures on CCP to like present a great show to you, and they're working really hard to do it. The mentality for people coming to eVegas is a little bit different. It's less pressure on CCP. It's more excited to see other players as well and interact with the community and meet people, maybe find a new corporation, maybe hear something and get a jump on a market trend or things like that. And so they come with less expectation on CCP, and CCP doesn't have to feel as much pressure, so they can enjoy themselves and hang out and talk with you.
The coffee is getting a lot of love in the chat, by the way.
Oh, dear God.
Hey, it's like 9 o'clock over here.
Yeah, I should have brought one too. We could have all had one.
We had this much
props.
sleep.
We had a party last night, so many of us could use the caffeine.
Yeah.
What'd you do at the party? Did you like it?
I always enjoy it. It's so great. Permaband's there.
They were
So
great.
it's always great that they come and put on a great show.
And they have a new member?
Yeah. What is her name? I totally missed it.
I could not hear.
Tara.
CCP
Tara.
Tara. Oh, it's Tara. Okay. She was great. She was way into it, as if she's been part of it this whole entire time. And the energy that they have for it, just really put on a great show.
And they had wristbands, right? You want to show them?
Yeah. So they had these wristbands that lit up, and they were kind of coordinated. As far as I don't think it's on. I think it's died. We've had too much fun. Yeah,
And
I don't know.
Try smacking it really hard. It seemed
Maybe
the
not for the
thing would turn you on.
microphone, but yeah.
But they're all like radio signaled colors.
Yeah, they're
So you can like
synchronized.
pump your fist in the air and you see all these, lights in sync. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, and it's such a cool venue. We've had it in years past that over Hotel Paris, and that was great too. You kind of overlook the strip and you see everything. We had some awesome visuals this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Corin, yeah.
yeah, he's actually ex-Signal Cartel member.
Oh,
I don't know if he's
totally
really
makes
playing that
sense.
much, but yeah, we have some great artists that are part of our group.
Signal Cartel has got some amazing recruits. Like, you guys have some, like, that's the place to go if you're a famous person.
I don't know about famous, but if you're kind of more about doing other things than the PvP aspects or being part of like the story in game, but maybe like creating other content. So Corin Moore, you probably have seen a bunch of his cool animations and that sort of thing. They had him plastered all over the venue. It was amazing.
I don't know what resolution they're using, but those things were crystal clear at 30 feet tall.
It's
So let's
quite the
paint a
experience.
picture for the folks that were not there. We're talking huge screens, like the kind you might see in a football stadium kind of thing. There's one in each possible angle of the front of the club, and they had this. It was like a red and white futuristic crystal, abstract version of the new Triglavian ships.
Oh yeah.
And they're flying around. There's all kinds of effects. The effects feed in on the ceiling into this gigantic prism disco ball thing.
Yeah, it's a full experience for that sort of place. As far as artists too, we have the silent auction is happening.
Oh,
which I think in years past there was normally like a dinner that they would have and do kind of an auction thing. But this year they have laid out a bunch of the different releases as far as on a kind of a metallic print or a lithograph maybe, signature by Hilmer. And we have that. We have one of our members, Razorin. He's like Eve's Premiere. You probably used some of his artwork, I bet.
I know him as Razorian.
Razorian, yeah. So,
but yeah.
And he's part of Signal Cartel, and he did this amazing Nyx print that's like a 40-inch by something, and it's already raising over $2,000.
It's amazing.
Oh,
yeah, it's quite a validation.
It's in the
Yeah, and if you'll later on, what you'll see is that you might get a picture of this print, but it's actually off of an animation. So it's just a single still off of an animated thing, and you can put any ship in the game. And so I think you'll be seeing a lot more of that on Reddit and other media.
So Space Warfare Development wants to know if Permaband released any new songs this year, or I guess the other question is, did they debut anything new?
You know what? They didn't debut anything new.
Yeah.
But I think what's nice is when you know all the songs, everyone's singing along and having a great time. But yeah, nothing new.
Their first song I didn't know was that maybe it was a cover. I don't know.
Yeah, does anybody know?
And they did do. I don't know if they did covers.
released last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
They did some stuff, I've been to a lot of Permaband concerts between Vegas and FanFest, and this one was definitely very different. They played a couple low key, quieter songs, and in addition to all the regular.
It was like slow dances.
Yeah, and it was
Well,
long too. It
If
was an extended
HTFU is a
performance.
slow dance, but yeah, it definitely was. Oh, you mean just like music in general that they had? Oh, gotcha.
But and it was also a much longer performance, certainly than last year. It was easily double the length.
Oh yeah.
Are you like Minxie and X-Punk where
I
slow dance is actually like...
I'm probably like ex-raver back in the day.
Oh.
That's basically it. She's ex-punk for sure.
I kind of pegged you as a...
Oh yeah, the plaid gave it away. I'm sure. Yeah.
The chat is spamming
the
F for more
coolest
coffee.
factors.
I know.
I think they want it back in frame.
Oh,
Yeah.
Give the people what they want. There it is.
Coffee.
There it is.
coffee power.
Yeah. We would have gotten coffee for everybody.
Would you like to tell the
it's a lot to
camera in a commercially approved language what kind of experience you get drinking Nook coffee?
Oh, dear Lord.
Oh,
Yeah. All right.
Starbucks though.
It's guest coffee, so you have to leave it on the table when you leave. The
Okay.
next person.
All right.
Oh, dear Lord. It was.
Put the coffee back in the cork hanger before you log out.
We were up having a blast until early this morning. We got a little bit of sleep in. We pulled ourselves together as best we could. Came over here, stood in a queue to buy coffee, and I asked a coffee and a large water, and they were completely out of water. I thought, you guys have one job, but at least they did the coffee. No, it's a rough morning, folks.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm surprised this podcast is as well attended as it is,
Amen.
given last
Amen.
night's festivities.
You
can't
can't,
let all this
you can't see it because it's behind the camera,
Yeah.
but there are a bunch of people here watching us quietly so that they don't mess up the.
And they're all awake.
Totally
You
appreciate
can't let all
it.
this technical expertise go to waste. Right?
Yeah.
You got to fill the screen with something. Speaking of which, we have a lot of guests. We're trying to rotate through them, keep as many of them as we can. We can sit 4 or 5 here, but I kind of...
Yeah, we could scooch
Yeah,
one
we'll
more
scoot in.
in,
Why don't you
but-
stay?
All right, all
You're
right.
great. I'd like to introduce you guys to somebody that you've known throughout the years. It's quick.
Come have a
This is not only an ex-developer, ex-CSM, but
Maybe sit
also...
in the center.
Yeah.
Right
You
next
got
to
a
me.
concept.
No, I'm good. I had mine earlier.
Welcome, Celine from Mercenary Coalition.
Greetings.
How you doing, man?
I'm awake today. First day I may have actually been awake.
So your crew is here again. You guys always have a magnificent presence at
Yeah.
these things. How many of you guys came this time?
39.
Woo!
Yay!
Not enough for the cup, though.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's 2 other alliances I think that will eternally be on that cup.
Yeah.
Well, they have some advantages of numbers in their corporations. That
Yes.
would be Goon Swarm and Test.
Yeah.
And actually, NC Dot, I thought came
They had,
really
about,
close.
they had 60-ish this year.
And how much did Test have to take it?
90-ish,
Oh
something.
my God.
Yeah.
I think
Bastion
Woo!
had 41.
I think Northern Coalition bringing 60 people is an amazing feat.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
last time it was, or 2 years ago, was Lady Scarlet and Destructive Influence, DICE, her corporation, and about 2 other guys from NC.
Yeah, they're turned into a bit of a competition whenever we showed up with a bunch of people 2 years ago and we had the suite. And then Scarlett said, okay, this is never going to happen again. You're never going to have more people than us. And we're also going to give shirts and everything else. So
And she did.
And she did this year. It took them a couple years, but now they have shirts and pins and they have all the appropriate swag that you're supposed to have.
So that's all Lady Scarlet. She got all those shirts arranged. They look sharp. They're a bunch of big guys, too. Intimidate the hell out of me in real life. So I try to stay away from my own alliance. Lady Scarlet's turned NC into a contender for attendance. And, just like PL and MC, they come... But you guys still have the edge on swag, I hear.
We try to.
Yeah.
This year we had to recycle some stuff from the previous year because the guy that normally does all of our stuff is building a new house in Texas. So he sent me all the addresses, and so I had to at last minute scramble and get all the pins and all the lanyards and all the other stuff done. And we had we gave out a bunch of flags at our dinner. So there's guys walking around with MC capes on, doing all of that stuff, being super nerds. And
Among nerds, even.
yes, there are people that take it to the next level and they take pride in it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that they own it. That makes it okay for me.
That's true.
Well, I mean, there's no faking. I mean, the funniest part about our stuff though is that when you walk around in the casinos, everybody thinks that you work.
Oh, that's right.
And
They're like, dealer.
we constantly have random people coming up to us, like, oh, do you work the pits? Like, No. And then of course they see MC and they think you're in a motorcycle gang. If like you're out in like some random place away from everything, it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they say, do you work the pits, are you like, what do you mean pits? Losec?
I just tend to like ignore them because they're usually drunk and they don't notice if you respond to them or not anyway.
Yeah. Talking into the wind out there in the
pretty
dark.
much.
We've seen them before. So you having a pretty good time this time?
Too good.
Because you come all the way from where?
Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first night. It was a stretch. The first night I was here, I hit the bed with about 36 hours of no sleep. Then the next day, I stayed up until about 2, and I only managed about 2 or 3 hours. So yesterday, which was the night of the big party at Dre's and everything, I was completely non-functional and ended up crashing in my hotel room a little after 8. So age and time and everything catches up to all of us. But today I am actually more awake than I've been since I got here, just in time to fly out tomorrow morning and do another 9-hour time zone difference. Yeah. Oh well, but at least today I can have coherent conversations with people.
I just thought Las Vegas shouldn't have like beds. They should have coffins that you can crawl into.
Yes. And luckily, at least most of the good hotel rooms have those really heavy, like Iceland type drapes to block out the sun.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever been to Reykjavik and you've ever been to FanFest, you'll notice that every hotel you stay in has an extra set of those really, really heavy curtains to keep out the sun in the summertime whenever there's like
and the cold at that, right?
well, they're
the
pretty
windows.
sturdily built, so I don't think the cold is an issue. Yeah.
So you and Carneros were both CCPers at one point. Right?
Yeah.
We've
times.
we wanted to set aside a time today and swap some old war stories from our respective times. We crossed over slightly, and he
You were there first, though.
I was there. I started there in about 2006. I did like wormholes and a whole bunch of other things, and I did a version of Dominion which never saw the server. And
really?
Yeah, there's a lot. It's interesting to see a lot of the things that are continually trickling out from stuff that was done several years ago. And I know he's sitting here nodding his head. He knows what I'm talking about. Every time that we see, when we see Citadels pop up or we see this happen or that happen, we're like, oh, I remember that, But, they had to get past, like Space Dolls and then Sancha Zombies and, Farmville and Space and everything to get there. And, but he was there for all of the pricing for Incarna and everything.
Yeah.
He's got some real good stories about that. I imagine. NDAs are gone now, aren't they?
Yeah, you're free.
Let's not do that right now.
No, we need to have a special show for that.
We can't do it under CCP's noses. We got to go somewhere else.
Let's do that from the safety of
they
our
might cut
homes.
the signal.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing, because Sling made me think of it. The coolest thing that I saw that I can talk about with the NDA now is when I saw the graphics for moon mining. And I was like, oh, I know what feature idea that came from.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see that feature actually put into the game. It didn't quite go in the way it was initially planned, but
That was probably, let me guess, and I'm not under any NDA, but it was the mining belt, or not the mining belt, the
comet
mining.
mining.
When they were actually there's some really wild ideas about harpooning comets and stuff that
it's like Moby Dick.
Well,
But I mean, they kind of reworked it. It's got me mining, so that's here to
That says something.
unthinkable. I would never touch a mining laser in my life. Now
I'm still mad you can't turn the mining laser against super cats. I don't understand why you can't just
that's awesome.
blow up a Nix with that.
That's
mining.
an emergent gameplay.
I mean, I think that whoever's in charge of the station would figure out a way to do that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or point it toward another structure and tractor in its rack.
It doesn't seem to have a limited range, does it? You could probably do that. Look at the Keepstar right off.
Yeah.
what was Celine's CCP name? People want to know.
A Bather.
Is that how you said it?
Yeah, that was how you said it. I know there was a lot of confusion about it at the time. A Bather, yeah.
All right, let's talk some in-game stuff, because there's a lot going on out there while we're here. And we talked about MC, and I got it all wrong on the last show.
A lot of people
and
did.
he let me know it, which is great. Which is awesome. But what is going on with MC these days? What are you guys up to?
We've decided we're pretty much given up. We've given up all of the solve that we were holding our little bitty post stamp up in the north because basically my guys will riot if I don't.
Wow.
It was we went up there at the end of last year to try out all of the new cool graphics and jump into some rorquals and instead of shooting them actually use them for their intended purpose which is mining. And it was fun for a little while, and we just stayed up there a bit too long. We just stretched out. Then we were getting ready to leave, and then, bad guys dropped the keep star, and we decided to stick around for a little bit longer and fight the good fight. But now that it's all kind of like come to a bit of a lull, we're taking the opportunity to flip our stuff, get out, kind of get back on the road again, like we did for the first couple of years. And our guys are pretty excited about that. Go around, meet, every few months, meet new people, shoot them. That sort of thing.
That's how you say hi.
Yes. Friendship is all about lasers and things like that.
It is another means of
Says, I
communication.
love you like a kill man.
Oh, God.
So what's the first stop on the MC Pain Train tour? Where are you guys
Well,
headed?
you gave me a hat that sums it up perfectly.
I did.
Make Wildlands great again.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
+1 alliance, baby.
Yeah, we're going to stop by there for a couple of months and see how things are going to go.
Nice.
Probably lose a lot of ships to Scourge, who are really mean locals.
Oh, I've heard about them.
Oh, they're nasty. They're a lot of fun. 30, 35 man fleets typically, but they fight like 50. They're really good.
What's their name again?
Scourge.
Oh.
Where do you run into Unspoken up in the north? Woo. Yeah, fun.
So there's some hard hitters in the area, huh?
Well, it's a nice little area. It's a nice area that's just kind of like a little bit of a fishbowl away from some of the other stuff. A lot of people pass through there. You sit in the middle of it on any given weekend, and you'll see fleets from like 5 or 6 different entities, all in the 30s to 60 to 70 size range, and they all don't. None of them seem to like team up except for targets of opportunity. Otherwise, you'll see these massive 3 and sometimes 4-way fights going on.
Oh,
It's a good place to just hang out for a bit and
So
wait and see what everything else is going to be going on.
So it's not a lot of like bat phoning to get more numbers to defeat your opponent. It's
I don't know,
just
we'll
a
see.
mixture of things.
We'll see. I'm sure there'll be bat phones, depending upon what the situation is. But for the most part, it's just getting back to kind of the core of what the kind of thing that our guys like to do, and waiting to see how the political and the strategic situation develops. And and if we get called upon or hired to go do something in one of those situations, we'll do that.
I mean, the vibe down there is great. It's a bunch of small to medium fleets just throwing themselves at each other over and over and over again. Literally small gang cap warfare. You'll have a dread bomb is like
7 dudes.
5 to 6 dreads at a time.
Yeah.
And they'll turn fights. And
That
like
can be a
the
fun
presence of a
size.
single super cap, incredibly rare and incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
And then the only time a bat phone really comes in is when someone threatens to mess up the culture that's been developing down there, and in which case everybody's like, oh, fuck you, we're having too much fun. Get out of here.
Yep.
Wild. All right. Well, thanks. It's nice to see you as always.
Yep.
Oh, wait, before he goes,
Question.
this is a good one. Does MC plan on involving themselves in the conflicts in the North? If so, which side would they take? Now that you're post-tribute.
Well, we're post tribute. I mean, we've given up the salt and everything, and we'll probably be resetting most everybody. But we've got really deep ties and old friendships with NC Dot, and we'll be maintaining that at the very least for the foreseeable future. But we've been friendly with most of the alliances, and even I sat down and talked to ProGod yesterday for an hour. There's, hell, I even get along with this guy. So I mean, we just, it's all about, Eve is kind of the way I see it is Eve is kind of a wheel of knives, and you never know, friends today or enemies tomorrow, and vice versa, and you never know how things are going to work out. But for the most part, we're just going to wait and see how things go. It's a game of years. Every group, every coalition, every alliance spends their time in and out of the dumpster,
Yeah.
and that happens to the best of us, and so on. So,
If you're playing Eve on weeks, you're probably missing a lot of really good opportunities to build something that lasts.
absolutely, you got to think long term. You got to think about how to best take care of your people for more than just the next mining up.
Oh, cool. Thanks again for showing up.
Alrighty.
And
Enjoy your coffee, man.
enjoy. Yeah.
You need it.
If I don't, I fall over. Plus,
Sure.
somebody's got me propped to this couch, so I don't. It's all
That's hot,
yeah.
by the way. That's leather.
All right, so we go from one of the most experienced players to actually a new player. And she just started EVE Online very recently. I don't even know your name.
Gamer Smoky Princess. Smart Shot. Mostly everybody just calls him Smoke, or I try to get them to.
Smoke. Okay, I can deal with Smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, we roped her in. She's part of the stream crew. And we grabbed her and brought her in. Because she has a great story. She just started EVE Online. And so what has it been like? What have you been doing? I heard you're streaming, or you've been on a stream, or
Yeah, I've been streaming it for less than a year. And I can say that solo PvP is difficult. I've managed to hold out and not join a core,
Wow.
but with the updates, it's been kind of like thinking about it.
My core
Oh yeah, no,
Streamer friendly.
Have you had many people try to recruit you here?
Oh yeah. So I went to an after party actually last night, and Test was going hard. Like just yeah, it was great.
It's the 1-0 resource in any of the players themselves.
It's
What?
like, just let you know we're
Spawn a
recruiting, and it
downtime.
comes from every single alliance.
Yeah. I think what some corporations don't realize is like having a presence on Twitch and other social media is really great for recruitment. Not that Test or anybody has a hard time recruiting, but it's one of those things, you know. I personally get tons of people that'll want to know about other corporations or my corporation, that sort of thing. So
It's really content creation in general. I mean, I've done traditional recruitment in EVE for a long time, whether it was with Noir or with my current core, Capitalist Army. I've gotten more people from my podcast, more people from the YouTube video that I put out last year, a couple people from streams that I have from any recruitment post or advert that I bought somewhere, in-game advertising, forget about it. The best thing you can do is like make a propaganda poster or make a YouTube video or take the plunge into streaming, and it'll open doors for you and open doors for your course.
yeah.
so? How are you finding it?
It's really a good community. As much as people try and say how toxic it is, specifically on Reddit, on Twitch, as soon as people were kind of understanding that I really wanted to get into the PvP specifically, they were 100% about, they were like, okay, this is when you need to heat your module. They're like, rep. It's constantly being screamed at me in my chat. So one of the funnier things that happened to me was I accidentally killed my own drones against a ship that doesn't have them. So essentially, I was like, I'm defanging him. I'm doing great. And I look so intense. And then they're screaming at me in chat, stop. Just stop.
You're defanging yourself.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I thought I was doing great. And I just didn't even know that the ship didn't have drones. It just
It's a process.
Yeah.
You said something very interesting. As soon as they knew I really wanted to play the game, what's that about?
So I feel like whenever people are coming in, they're just wanting to try and get into a really big ship and then just go blow things up. Whenever there's so many different mechanics that come into play whenever it comes to PvP or just any mechanic, you can't go in the middle of nowhere and mine something and expect to be left alone. Period. Like it's PvP everywhere, and it's the kind of community to where you have to be really knowledgeable about the game in order to be proficient at it. And it's not like World of Warcraft where you have like one skill tree. And there's like maybe 3 choices that can take you into significantly different areas. It's one profession has significantly different areas that you can go into. So it's like, do I want to do frigate PvP? Do I want to do cruiser PvP? Because they're significantly different. And I'm finding out that
That's a pretty innovative. I don't know if that's a basic thing to know or if that starts to get into advanced already.
Yeah, nice.
So maybe you're further along than you think.
We've got comments in the chat from Kip.
Are they recruitment offers?
Pyromac. Big ships in the beginning is a big mistake. It's why I suck to this day. People regretting to this day the choices they made, like over-speccing into these larger ships, thinking bigger is always better.
Do you guys have Eve, like that kind of Eve guilt, like you still suck at the game, or is it just me? Like you're.
I don't think you ever really get
Well, you don't suck
I'm
at the
talking to
game,
people
that's
that
the
have been in it for like
I'm
8 or 10 years.
reminded
They
daily that I
don't
suck at the game. Yeah, daily.
There is one thing on my character sheet that always fills me with regret. It's the black market trading skill. It was supposed to be for like sneaking past customs, and when I started my character, I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. I'm going to be a smuggler. And after I loaded the game, I was like, all right, how do I use the skill? About 2 weeks later, one of the veterans told me that it doesn't work.
Doesn't do anything.
Or to be
And I wasted like the majority of my character creation skill points.
Yeah, well, I pumped up charisma as high as I could. So, like,
we do have a question for Smoke. Speaking of experiences with different mechanics, you tried out Abyssal Dead Space recently with Bjorn.
Oh God, yeah. So
What was that like? Talk us through that experience.
So it had been a week since I played, and it's perishable skill. I swear to God, it's all perishable. And I swore that I touched my repair, and I guess it was my hardener. I don't know. Like, I'm still learning all of the modules, so they're just like solo PvPer who doesn't know how to rep. And I was like, I'm gonna get like bashed on this for like just forever about it. But it was amazing because in the second round that we went, Bjorn actually was the first one to go. Didn't expect that at all. So he's behind me and he's kind of telling me what to engage and when. And it gave me a more in-depth look at how prioritizing your guns can be different than your web, and specifically why you would want to do that. And it's all analytical, and it's going to be experience just trying to figure it out.
So you would use the new 3 frigate version of the Abyssal Dead Space sites?
Yeah.
So you and Bjorn were together. Did you have a third person in the fleet?
Yeah, we actually had 6. What's his name? I want to make sure I say it right.
The third person.
The third person was six strings. With yeah, it's a tongue twister. It is not.
And what did you guys bring in? What were your ships?
I don't remember. I know I had a Ishkur.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure about the other two. I'm still learning my ships. Like give me.
Well, from what I hear, you're still learning simulation mode.
Yeah. So there's been a time whenever I docked and I simulated my fit twice without actually fitting it, and undocked, getting ready to go out and doing a row.
So Ishkur Worm Succubus is what you were bringing. And I'm asking because there's a lot of curiosity about like what combinations are going to be possible with this new Abyssal Dead Space type. People are messing around like, is it going to be all assault frigates? Are there pirate frigates that you should bring? Is it going to be worth it to bring 2 frigates and a Logi?
Well, we actually talked about that. We were considering trying to do it again with a Logi, just because we got Bjorn got popped. Like, it was just, he said, "Oh, I'm dead." Like, he was like, "I guess I'll go over here and I'll help you." So
well, you got the lingo down.
Yeah.
You got the attitude.
Well, there's some changes with Abyssal Space. There'll be the new kind of mining, or what do they call it? The
Mining platform, right?
Mining platform where you could go and get extra loot.
Yeah.
Right?
If you have enough time to get out.
But I think maybe in the frigate thing, if that's available,
Yeah,
you'll be able to spread out maybe and get a bunch of that loot maybe.
Speaking of time in Abyssal Space, I noted that the CSM we're talking about, the timer should really be set to when you get out, not when you start the process to get out. Because a lot of people would get to it at 0 and start warping, and they blow up and warp on their way out. And that was like
unlucky. That's gotta feel bad. So, what do you think about the proposal of having it seemed to be 2 players could activate a filament and have a kind of an arena PvP? Did I understand that?
Yeah. Oh, it's not activated filament. I think it's a gate inside the site itself. Once you go there, the timer.
I guess we'll have to get more details, but it seemed like there was definitely an arena sort of PvP opportunity.
I'm pretty excited about it as a PvPer. That's like a cool.
Yeah, and it was shaped as an octagon.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
2-man and 1-man.
Yeah.
But I hear from a lot of players that try to just roam trying to find fights. Might be an excellent opportunity to just hop on and get into a fight.
It's sanctioned, and it rewards you beyond the salvage of the person that you kill. Like, RVB is great, right? But you kill them, you're really only going to get their loot and maybe salvage their ship. But here, if you enter that arena and you fight each other, you get some more stuff that the game gives you.
Yeah, the loot that's left there.
And the loot is apparently supposed to be better than the regular stuff, which makes sense considering you're fighting another player for it.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things is how dressed up are people going to enter that arena? I mean, are people going to bring their best stuff to try to duke it out?
Some are.
So there's going to be some incredible loot coming out of
the Rex in that thing are going to be
because you go in blind, not knowing what's going to be awaiting on the other side.
Yeah.
Let me. Okay.
They said it's totally random. They clarified in the roundtable. There's going to be no matchmaking of any kind. It's going to be random with players at the same filament level. So if you're using the tier 1 filament, you'll only fight other tier 1 filament users. Okay. Same thing with 5. But within that pool, there's no we'll try to pair hacks with hacks or cruisers with cruisers or anything like that.
Or win ratio.
No. So you could go up against one of the best Abyssal Dead Space runners, and they're pimped out, specialized to the T fit, and just get destroyed.
Okay.
Or you could come up against that in your like ship specially designed to kill that and go loot his probably 7-8 build fit.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
So here's some advice. We only have a few more minutes, but here's some advice for you. Get really good at the new stuff. Because all the guys that played this game for 10 years aren't good at the new stuff yet. So that's what I would say. Well, cool. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck out there. We'll see you streaming, right?
Yeah, as soon as possible. I
You
love
want to
it.
plug your stream real
Yeah.
quick?
Tell us about your stream more time.
Yeah, so my stream is Smoked You Princess 1. So smoked, like smoked, and then the letter U, and then princess, and 1. That's it.
All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck on Eve. So next we're going to have a couple of people who are presenting. We're going to have Dunk Dinkle and one that already presented, Willem.
I'll make room.
Oh, and yeah, thanks. Thanks, Johnny.
Yep.
Come on in, Dunk.
Hello.
What's up? Well,
Good to see you, Don.
yeah, really like
Oh,
the
no.
presentation.
Jeez, you guys.
All right. We'll wrap up after this, but we wanted to talk to Willem that did a presentation yesterday on blogging, which I thought was really interesting. It's recorded, so you should be able to see that on CCP's stream.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, on video.
That was unclear when I was giving it. I thought I might just be giving it to the 30 people who were in the hall.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it is or isn't. I haven't been able to even see my presentation, so I don't know how I did. So I want to see chat and how abusive they were. But yeah, what was it like to, to make your presentation?
It went off. Actually, having a small group actually made it pretty intimate. I got questions, as you saw. We allowed back and forth. I ran out to like the 30-minute mark, and really went much better than I thought it would. So,
Yeah, it was a great presentation. I
I
really
had a very receptive audience. Not everybody there was a blogger I already knew. Even. There was actually some.
Yeah, you inspired me, which is like saying something because I'm like tired, And I was like, yeah, I'm taking that. You're speaking my language.
Yeah, well, your presentation was a good representation of what I was talking about, which is bringing the story of Eve to the written word to record it, because there are so many stories in Eve, and we don't write them. They're very good. They can be ephemeral if we don't write them down. So
Yeah, they disappear. They dissipate. And you said something, and we talked about this, that was very interesting. It's not just writing down the events, but it's also writing down your mind frame, your perception, perspective on the event, because that changes too.
yes. Things I wrote 5 years ago or 10 years ago are a very different perspective on the games.
Yes.
And like I said, for me, it's all of a built-in process where I go back and look at things every 5 and 10 years, and am amused and amazed at how much things have changed and how much I've changed. So I found it very rewarding.
And you mostly write about what on your blog?
It has become mostly stories about things I do, often and even online. I mean, I've found a way to make stories out of everything, even big fights to the most mundane move off, because there's always something going on. There's always something that goes wrong. There's always something hilarious in comms. There's always that guy who does the wrong thing, lights the signo on the gate, or there's always something.
Those little details that will make Eve very fun. Funny. What's the blog called?
The Ancient Gaming Noob.
Yeah.
It's at tagn.wordpress.com.
Yeah, I love that blog. Anyway, so this is Willem. Check it out. And so presenting, being up there, you liked it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It was.
What advice do you have for Dunk over here, who's about to go? Dunk's up. He's coming up. Don't miss it.
If you stand at the podium, you can't see the presentation, so you got to stand over where Rise and Falcon stand. But,
What if I just kick over the podium?
yeah, that would be too. That would be a
Did a
an option as
rockstar
well.
entrance, What are you going to be talking on, Dunk?
I will be talking about how to lead without being a CEO. So I think, I'm hoping it's interesting for people.
It's probably the most in-demand set of skills. And certainly by CEOs who are like, please help me lead, please.
Exactly.
And where do you lead behind the scenes?
I fly with Brave Newbies. Hi, I'm Dunk Tinkle, fly with Brave Newbies. And I've been playing with the group since the beginning, the 5th day, I think, that Brave started. I joined. And it's just been a process of learning what do people need, how do you hear what they need, that kind of stuff. Because there's a lot of noise and chaff. Just look at RE. It's just, there's nuggets of good stuff on RE, but how do you find the good things from all the blathering that can go on? And the same thing inside the corporation. How do you hear what the real problems are, and not somebody just had a bad day, they came home from work, they logged in, and things didn't go the way they wanted, and then they're all mad, right? Like, so how do you separate someone having a real issue from someone just needs to vent, that kind of thing?
Cool. When are you speaking?
At noon today, noon Pacific. I don't know what time that is UTC. I've never got that right.
At 1900.
1900.
Yeah. After dinner. Well, Doug,
Work on Linux, you know this stuff.
you're also you're legendary for your partying ability too, right? Your suitcase of friendship. Briefcase. I guess suitcase is longer term, right?
Yeah, well, you know, in my glorious youth, many mistakes were made, and I learned certain skills. And so those have come to play in making videos, and then I have a briefcase that I keep Jack Daniels and Coke and some special shot glasses in. So people really like that. But I end up having to carry all this stuff around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fun. We did it last night at the Aboard Fort party. By the way, Dreaded is recruiting.
You're not Dreaded. Why are you plugging them?
Well, they're friends, and in case people hadn't heard, Dreaded is recruiting.
Sauce for the goose, Matterall.
So you brought some shot glasses, right? I know this because I have some information. Dunk actually drove Gobbins and I in for this Eat Vegas, so we owe him a huge debt for bringing us here, getting us here.
I wonder what I'll get for driving them back.
Yeah. Make your proposals before the trip so you can ramp it up. But yeah, you brought shot glasses for your crew, or?
So I didn't bring them here, but yeah, I have shot glasses. I still have some to give away. If you see me, I've been trying to hand them out as much as possible because I don't want to carry anything back to home. So brought shot glasses. I always make some swag to give away, that kind of thing. It's kind of fun. It's part of these events. Wherever you go, you're going to get stickers and buttons and all kinds of stuff that people have promote their group, and it's a lot of fun. It's a big part of the in-person meetups.
Yeah, the swag is usually of remarkable quality coming from players. There's the MC coin last year. I don't know if any of you guys got one of those.
Yep.
It was like it's like a solid metal poker chip with their logo in it, high detail. The Brave shot glass this year. Thank you, Dunk. Tops.
Nice.
So
if you're thinking about going to a in-person event and you're a little nervous, you're a little more introverted person, go. People will talk to you. You will have a great time. I think there's many people posting on Twitter. This is their first big event with people, and they couldn't find a more welcoming community because when we're here, who you fly with doesn't matter as much as you're all part of that big E family. And I think it makes a big difference to people when it opens their eyes.
General Stargazer has a question. Dunk running for CSM?
Oh.
I thought I made this extremely clear. I was not running for CSM.
Hey, Brisk is grimacing over there.
Don't do it.
Well, I'll have to consult with Mrs. Dinkle.
All right.
They're never running until they run, right, Brisk? Who knows?
Okay. I think we're getting close to time, right? Yeah, we have 5 minutes now. So let me bring on. I'm going to ask you guys to jump aside a second. Tommy.
Can I go have coffee now?
Yeah, you can have coffee. Thanks. Good luck on your speech. All right. Joining us now is Life Shifter X. Yeah, I told you real name. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No. Yeah.
We use real names, but you'll know him best. Life Shifter has been running INN Stream division for a long time now. And he worked with Skeptic, nerd guy who's around here too, but not
just down here, I think.
Is he? All right. Well, come on in. Hey, come on here. Come on. Yeah, these are the two guys that run streaming.
Yeah, perfect.
Come on, Skeptic. Right there.
Hey, how's it going?
These guys bring you a lot of content all the time, and Skeptic here just got back from being away, so he's going to be more active, and he's brought a microphone and is putting up all this stuff on, what is it, live blog?
Yeah, it's a live blog. We have it posted on both the TIS site and the INN site right now.
Yeah. Great guys. These are the guys, part of the reason I stick around for so long is these guys are so professional and they get things just accomplished, and it's really nice to work with.
And those two sites are talkinginstations.com and Imperium.news.
Yeah, Imperium.news. And it's a news station that Life Shifter put together, right? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so
your voice from
my
last
voice
night?
is so gone. So INN expanded itself a little bit more because we were actually getting to the point where we had too many streamers that wanted too many slots that are on the same time. So we actually expanded Imperium News' streaming service to actually expand to Variety also. with the launch of FatB TV recently. So we split. Imperium News is back now to EVE Online only content, and then FatB TV is all of our variety content. So we do a lot more of the new release games, reviews, let's plays, progression, stuff like that on a lot of the stuff. But we're bringing on all kinds of new streamers to help with that effort. We also recently launched a Streamer of the Month program to kind of highlight what the streamers' like strengths and talents are and everything, and get people to really kind of look at these streamers more and figure out, hey, like there's a lot more people out there, and it's just another way of bringing exposure to these guys and gals that are streaming with us.
Yeah.
So
the Imperium streaming content has really impressed over the years. You guys have done a great job in terms of really putting together a network that's had legs. A lot of people have this idea of like, oh, I'll form a stream group and we'll set up a schedule and we'll like pool followers. It never tends to last that long in EVE, but Imperium News Network has made the transition from just your text content to video content to multi-streamer video content to now multi-genre multi-streamer video content, and kept up a really high level of quality and consistency in terms of branding and stuff.
That's these guys.
How far out do you guys plan this kind of thing? How are you organizing the resources for it? Do you get a lot of support from your alliance, or is it sort of a passion project?
It's kind of a passion project. Yeah, it's really only done by us mostly. I mean, we get a little help here and there, but most of it's almost entirely us. We use pretty much any kind of available tools that are out there to help us kind of manage some of that stuff. I mean, of course, in the back end, we use a lot of Google Docs and Trello and stuff like that to keep up with like the things we need to keep up with. Like, we actually have a list of stuff that we have to do weekly and also monthly for all the streamers to make sure everything's running. Otherwise streamers don't get paid, or we don't get keys out or game keys out. We don't get new streamers changing out in their schedules. So there's all kinds of stuff in the back end that we definitely try to make it as easy as possible for us and also them too. Like especially this last couple of years with streaming tools being a really big, like huge, robust thing that's happened. We've seen
elements.
Yeah, like stream elements, for example. Yeah. Before, when I first started with INN, with Skeptic,
we were using Google Drive, to hand out all your images and assets, and someone would say like, oh, we need a nameplate for such and such guest, and I'd be scrambling trying to open up my Photoshop to open up the template, jam in the name, like, oh, what alliance are they in? I'll pull their alliance logo, throw that in there too, and it's always hectic. And then nowadays with like Stream Elements, for example, we have a web-based background where you can just pull a URL, throw it into your OBS, and it works really well now.
Yeah, before it was like a 30, 40-minute process just to get started, and now it's less than 10 minutes.
But it's amazing the technology and how it's changed over the years. Yeah. We're out of time. We have to go now, but we cannot go without thanking Raiden and Stream Fleet and his staff that have put the show together. Speaking of streaming,
Miss Moses.
Miss Moses. Oh, I can't. Yeah.
So you're getting in trouble, though.
Yeah. So, do you have a second to come around, or do you have to hit the off button?
I'm going to turn you off in a minute.
Okay. We'll get their picture up next time when we do talking.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody for watching and everybody that's come around to be guests this morning. It's super early. It's a lot to ask. And there's a picture. We want to say thank you again to Streamfleet for being able to put this on. Very professional. Great work. Thank you, guys. That's it for Talking in Stations in Eve Vegas. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right.